I'm on that Erin Lee Carr truth train right now. If it hadn't been for people like Erin Lee Carr and Melissa Moore, Gypsy Rose Blanchard would not be where she is today. How many of you are familiar with the Conrad Roy case? On July 12, 2014, 18-year-old Conrad Roy took his own life. Now, his girlfriend at the time, Michelle Carter, was charged with involuntary manslaughter due to the text messages that she had sent to him, allegedly encouraging him to do that. Well, none other than Erin Lee Carr made a documentary about this case, and I want to play some important clips from an interview about it.
Today by Erin Lee Carr, the film's director. And Erin, the first thing I want to ask is, the documentary, and I was telling you this beforehand, is very, very even-handed. And what I was wondering was that a difficult tone to set in the film?
Yeah, I think that the film really represented in the way that it was constructed my own journey with the case. I think that I would start, learning about certain evidence or certain events, and it's all about sort of guilt and innocence. And there would be evidence that shifts towards guilt. There would be evidence that shifts towards innocence. And so I think that I really wanted the film to show that there are very much two different ways of looking at a story, and we have this sort of very American, this very concretized, this is how I feel about this, and you're not going to change my opinion. And I really, as a documentary filmmaker, I really want to push against that. And I really want for people to sort of change their opinions and have that sort of that journey and take that journey with me.
Okay, well, that sounds eerily similar to Mommy, Dead and Dearest, where Gypsy Rose Blanchard was portrayed as the innocent one and Nick was portrayed as the guilty one. Was she doing the same thing in the Michelle Carter case? Mind you, all this was happening at the same time as legal proceedings and the trial was occurring in both of these cases.
I am somebody that covers the intersection between mental health and technology as it relates to documentary. And so this is a film, and this is basically a subject matter that hits all of those sort of sweet spots. And I think that, I was sick of people screaming about this case without understanding what it was really about. I think if you spend 5 to 10 minutes inside the case, you recognize this is it's a case about loneliness and about not fitting in and about what is it like when your brain is telling you awful things.
And another aspect that was very interesting about this documentary is that you were obviously making it in the midst of the trial rather than after the trial, the legal proceedings. And I'm curious, were there any of the revelations that you came across in making the film? Which one did you find the most surprising that you've encountered making this film?
Yeah, I remember sitting inside the court, and some of the early witnesses were Michelle Carter's friends, quote unquote friends, these young women that sort of would get up on the stand and basically disowned her and said, we never liked her. She was a loser. She always, wanted to hang out with us. We never wanted to hang out with her. She was always seeking attention. And there was just this very sort of Heathers-esque montage of women coming up and down in the courtroom, just basically disavowing this person. And I thought it was really disturbing because it's, what she did was immoral, and they were really understanding like what was the legal aspect of it. But this to sort of assassinate her on this mean girl level, it just felt so like terrible and mean and unnecessary, if that makes sense. And I think that it really highlighted for me how alone Michelle Carter is, and what you have to kind of sit through this trial, and every text message you've ever sent is really under like a microscope by hundreds of people. And then I wondered at my own sort of ownership of exploitation, because I included that footage in the film. I think it rendered a sort of more sympathetic portrait.
Do you guys hear what she's saying? What about sympathy for the people that lost their lives? Conrad Roy and Dee Dee Blanchard. It seems in her documentary, she loves to be in the gray area, and she's not being as sympathetic to the victims as you think one would be for a true crime documentary. She's defending Michelle. Hey, Erin, did you have access to the evidence room in the Michelle Conrad case as well? As always, thank you for watching. Please like, follow, and reshare to keep this conversation going. More to come.